Hello everybody. So today we are going to talk about mobile, but also about test automation. So have been working in test automation since 12 years ago. I'm working in a company the name is GoTo. So what is GoTo? Maybe you already heard about Log Me In. Log Me In become GoTo, the same company, and we have multiple projects or products. So like a LastPass, Grasshopper, GoTo Resolve, GoTo Connect, and it's in GoTo Connect that I'm going to tell you an history about test automation. So give you a context, what is our product, GoTo Connect? We receive about 12 million of incoming calls. We help to communicate customers and companies, and all calls that we do is in mobile. We cover about 50% of the calls, and we have multiple features like meetings. Maybe you already heard about GoToMeeting. So this is an example. So test automation is a big topic. Mobile is also a big topic. But I'm going to concentrate everything in one steps or what sections. The first one is the concept. For the concepts, I have three questions for you. The first one is, what is automation? So imagine that I am your grandmother and you want to explain me automation in one sentence, in few words. So think about that. What is automation? What is automation? Think. It's very hard to think about that, right? So the definition that I like about automation is reduce the human intervention. Keeping this definition in your mind. The next one, the second question is about Agile and test automation. So how test automation fits in Agile. So just to be sure that everybody are in the same page, I would like just to explain quickly what is Agile. So Agile methodology is you are developing a feature in your product and you are going in one direction. But in your company, your business say, no, you have to focus in another feature, so you have to focus in another development. So if you think about that, you are Agile. You are Agile, the development. So when you change another project in the product, who validate that the first feature is still live? So test automation is the key. So in few words, in Agile, it's almost mandatory that you have to have test automation. So keep in mind this information. Now, the last question is, in a team, there are three profiles: product owners, managers, there are software developers, and also there are quality engineers. If you want to summarize in one word which profile, to condense one profile, how you are going to think that. So to summarize, the product owners or managers, the first summarize or the word that they have is money. They are thinking about the money, the business value of the company, right? Software is code. That is, if you are a developer, you know that. And the quality engineers is quality. Now, this is the concepts. It's very easy, no? But it's important to start a test automation project. To start, normally, because you know what is the approach of each profile, you know what is quality, project managers, like in the investment and the code. So you need to synchronize the team. This is the first thing that you have to do, synchronize. We have to start with the quality engineers. You want to understand what is the business model, the business logic of the product, right? So you ask to the people, the quality people, okay, tell us what is quality. They are going to tell a lot of definition. Maybe you already heard about feature testing, regression testing, unit testing, and there are a lot of definitions. But it is very hard as a developer to understand that, right? But the most important is the synchronization. So the quality guy has to synchronize with the other team to know what is that. So normally the idea is like the whole team understand what is the quality, how the quality guy see that. I'm going to give you an example. In GoTo, in the mobile team, this is how we work. In 1 month, we develop features. we put a strategy, feature testing. We develop that with testing every day. In the end of the month, we do the other strategy, is regression testing. So regression testing, we execute that, and of course, we find bugs, defects, and then we try to fix it. And in the end, the last strategy that we use is sanity testing. It's a teeny version of regression test. We do it, and then we're ready to deploy to the customers. We deploy it. These strategies are identified by the whole team. It's not one guy who decides this is the way. It's the whole team. But the good way here is everybody do the testing. It's not only the QA people. It's everybody, including the managers, including the product owners. We do feature testing, we do the regression testing, and the sanity testing. Doing that, the whole people understand the quality. So the team is synchronized with the quality. Now, let's talking about the business. How a manager or a product owner see the benefits of the testing. How we can do that. So the key word here is ROI, return on investment. So this is the formula, very easy. I think you know that. And now, how we do that in GoTo. In October 21, we quantify our testing and we define a goal. Our goal was automate 63% of the test, the manual test. Because what is automation? Automation is reduce the human intervention. This is the key, reduce the human intervention. As soon as we define our goal, we go to the second step. So this slide is the most complex slide that you are going to see today. But you don't need to read. I'm going to explain you very quickly what is that. So here, in the left side, you see how to write a test case. So there are people who like to write the title, requirements, and steps. There are another approach that is scenarios. So let me explain what happened here. According to my experience, when you start an automation test, normally you want to follow every step. As a developer, we try to follow every single step, right? But sometimes, almost all the time, happens that one step you cannot automate it. Something happens, you are blocked. So you spend time to understand, you spend time to validate, to check a workaround, to see how to automate this test. And you are not reducing your human intervention. This is why I show you this approach. This is the scenario. So the scenario is very simple. These test cases are split in three scenarios. All the information are in the title. So when somebody reads the title, he understands what he wants to test. For example, here we say incoming call. So I understand in my GoTo app, I understand that I have to receive a call. And they say background, or say I understand in my head the app has to be in background, and then I follow the scenario. So if you see, as a developer, if you have to automate something like this, you don't need to focus the steps. So this is the approach to automate. Now, how we apply the ROI. So this is a formula I'm going to talk about very quickly. So the formula is the ROI. Normally, you have to explain to the managers how you are going to save time, how you are going to gain money for the company. Right? So you apply the formula. You have to understand what is the time saving for one test case or a scenario, and how time you are going to spend to automate this particular test. I keep you this information there. I'm going to give you an example later. Now, let's talk about the code. I think you want to know how we automate tests. So let me explain you a little bit about mobile. Mobile, I feel like this is one of the most complex technology to automate. So if you see, there are 4 steps. The first one is how to write the script. It could be in Python. But then you have to communicate with the device. To communicate with the device, you need to focus on the Appium. This is like the equivalent of the Selenium, but in mobile. And then Appium communicate with the platforms. It could be iOS or Android. So if you see, there are 2 different ways to communicate, and that made that the process is very, very heavy. because iOS has rules, Android other rules. It's complex. But there are a solution. This is what I'm going to tell you today about Robo Framework. So what is Robo Framework? Robo Framework is a framework. It is based in Python. When you use it, you could automate tests quickly in websites, API calls, but also mobile. And this is how we use it. So this is an example about Robo Framework. As a developer, you are going to see what is that. I don't understand very good, but there are very good advantages. So there are three sections in Robo Framework. The first one is the library, how you export the library, seems easy. The second one is how you define variables. It becomes a little bit weird. And then how you specify the step 3, how you write the test case. So you have to put the word test case. And then you call the keywords. The keywords is like a method of function in Python. So as a developer, you try to read that and you say, what is that? It's because Robo Framework is semantic. Robo Framework was developed for people who doesn't program. For example, the QA people, there are many QA people that they don't understand what is a class, what is heritage. They want just to focus on the quality. Robo Framework is a very good example. The best advantage of Robo Framework is almost everything is already done. So for example, here we have an Appium library. This is used for Robo Framework. You install and then you can almost in few hours you can run an automated test for mobile. How you communicate with Python? So if you see here the example, as I say, Robo Framework is semantic. So this is a sentence. But if you see in Python, this is a function. Robo Framework handles that automatically. So you could focus on Python, write tests or write particular functions for your business, and then you can grow linking with Robo Framework. That is very easy. The other example of very good advantage for Robo Framework is the reports. I don't know if you have experience with test automation, but I observe in many companies, many teams, that people find a bug because the test fail, and then they want to understand what happened, right? And sometimes the people run again and see what happened. This is not automation. What is automation? Reduce the human intervention. So this is not good. So for that one, Robo Framework has a very good feature is the reports. With one report, you could understand what happened. The variables are there. You can follow. Only reading the logs, what is that? And the most good is when you find a bug, a defect, you can just send to the developer the report. He will understand very easy, and that is very, very appreciated. So this is the second step, how you start the project. So we already see how we can start the test automation. So in GoTo, we start the project and we start to evaluate our project. When we start the project, we observe something. We automate our tests, but we have to include it in the CI to run periodically. So do you remember the formula of ROI? So this is an example of that. My point here is if you want to automate a test, the second thing that you have to do in the second after is that your tests run periodically. If you don't run a test periodically, it's like you are losing your time. There are no value for the company. The example here is better. So imagine that you have a test case and you have this test case is manual and you have to execute that for 30 minutes. But if you automate that, it takes 1 week, 40 hours. So you do the formula of ROI, very simple. And then you calculate that if you run the test 80 times, your test becomes free. It's free for the company. It's money. This is how you sell the project to the product owners. Check, the money is there. However, in the evolution, we found something in GoTo. We saw that when we execute the test periodically, we see often that the test fails. And a test fails doesn't mean that there are bugs. So we decide to have a role. The role is sprint hero. So in every sprint, there are a guy who validates the test case, which test fails, and then we try to identify two things. First, is a bug? Yes, I report. No? Okay, the test isn't stable. Why isn't it stable? Is something normal? I can fix it, or if it's failing a lot, there are no value to have something that is not stable. So we remove it in our CI. So that is how we validate in GoTo. The other steps is we saw the progression. So do you remember the goal? The goal for us was 63%. 11 months after, we reached 25% of the coverage. And we decide that the whole team automate tests. Everybody. Developers, QA, everybody could automate tests. So this is what we start. So this is our evolution. Now we saw some improvements. So in the improvements, what we detect, one thing is we want to follow more the test case in the history. So with that, we update all test case in Jira. So in Jira, there are a plugin named Zafir, when you use like a test management tool, and then you could put your scenarios there. So when we run the test, everything runs, and then we publish. What is the value for that? Keep in mind something. If a test, a developer will say, no, this test is all the time stable, I don't believe that is a real bug. So, because everything is in Jira, today we can say, okay, this test case failed. We can see the history about this test case and the reason why he's failing. So we can take, as a team, the business decision. It means you say, okay, this test is failing, isn't stable, we don't need it because this is not automation. What is automation? Reduce the human intervention. So we kill it, remove it. So this is a very good tool that we developed. The second improvement was using a browser stack. I don't know if you know that, but it's a cloud services to run the automate tests with the real device. So that help allows for increase our speed. Just to give you a context, I remember one test run in one machine takes about one test, about 7 minutes. Using browser stack, we reduce about 2 minutes because everything is there. But the most nice is we can run many tests at the same time. So your machine, just send the request to browser stack and we are in business. So because everybody automate, everybody is aware about the whole team, and then when we decide to include browser stack, we put it in January this year. If you see, we increased for 43% to 52%, so almost 10% more using browser stack because we can run more and we can automate, but by the whole team. So this is the good speed. So let me share with you some nice value of test automation in GoTo app. One day, in October, the last October, we deployed a new version. The whole team automate the test, with the whole team validate, but when we deploy, the next day, a customer with a specific configuration, a very edge case, he has a blocker. And he put, I don't like this app because I don't receive the calls. If we don't receive calls, there are no business for us. He put 1 star. Few minutes after, we saw that the whole team sit, we discussed, we analyze what happened here. We saw our quality process. We saw that we followed that, but we observed the edge case in this scenario. After the day, we fix the problem. We validate, the whole team validate the quality, and the next morning, we deploy again. The same guy, say, hey, I saw that you fixed it. I put from 1 star to 5, good job. So this kind of example show us that the test automation is important because when we deploy, the test automation runs and we focus on the more accurate information. The second example, I am very proud of that, is because the whole team developed tests. One day, somebody checked the deployment of the customers, And we saw the logs in our server that there are something happen. So my colleague say, hey, I don't like this, there are an error here. And they say, hey, this is a blocker, this is a problem. So we stop the deployment, and he said, I'm going to fix it. The second after, another developer say, hey, this is not, I'm going to automate. 4 hours after, it was fixed and automated, and we deploy it. This is, I am very proud of my team to do this kind of exercise. So this is how we develop test automation in GoTo, for the GoTo app. So to finalize, I would like to share some conclusions. So the first one is quantify. So before starting, you don't need to focus on the code. You don't need to focus on what is the best framework. You have to focus on what we want to automate. So this is when I show you the quantification. What is the goal? The second one is the goal. So in our team is 63%, the goal of the testing. And also keep in mind during the evolution, the importance of automation. So if you are pushing a lot of manual effort in your development, it's because something happens. It's not good. You have to change your strategy. So remember, automation means reduce the human intervention. So this is my presentation. Thank you for listening to me.